Many thanks to Jerb, Jaren, DayZ Podcast, Taggy's Tag West, Great Poncho and Black Knight for making this video possible. Along with the AX variant of the AUG in this patch, we were also gifted the AUG A1, which has a fixed optic and is a smaller brother of the AX version of the AUG that can be compared to how the AK-74 has a smaller brother, the AKS-74U. So in this video we're going to be checking out the new AUG Optic stats, comparing the AUGs together to see the differences, and compare the smaller of the AUG to the smaller of the 74s. The AUG A1 is based on the A1 model of the Steyr AUG, where the AUG without the fixed optic is based on the AUG A3. In DayZ, the smaller A1 is included in the same game file as the larger A3 model, and because they have the same ammo type, these two weapons are very similar to each other, but there are some big differences in some cases. First of all, to address the elephant in the room, the biggest difference between these weapons is obviously the fixed optic, which is the first and only fixed optic in the vanilla version of DayZ on the newer engine. Unlike all the other optics in DayZ, the AUG optic doesn't increase the accuracy of the A1 like attaching, for example, the ACOG to the larger A3 variant AUG. This means the smaller A1 is worse compared to weapons that already have an optic attached, because as seen in this video, optics improve accuracy a monstrous amount, but a little plus here is that the A1 doesn't get any heavier with this fixed optic. In fact, the A1 variant is 12% or 400 grams lighter than the A3 and 6 slots smaller at 6x3 instead of 8x3, although they both have the same weapon length. Back to the optic, it allows you to switch between the iron sights and the optic, and while on the iron sights you can fully see the optic's reticle, which I'm sure will make some of the more special players in DayZ very confused when their shots appear to do no damage. The most disappointing part of this fixed AUG optic though is its lack of zoom, only zooming 1.12 times the regular iron sight's field of view. Compared to the pistol optic, for example, it's 1.8, and compared to the ACOG, it's 4 times. It's not a great optic, but being able to quickly switch between the iron sights and the optics does make the A1 nonetheless a very range versatile weapon. The effective range of the iron sights is around 500 meters due to the zeroing up to 400 meters even while on iron sights, where the optic allows up to 400 meters like the iron sights, but slightly more zoomed in and with this beautiful hollow reticle that is going to make seeing your target much easier, giving the AUG optic an effective range of around 600 meters. The A3 on the other hand zeroes up to 300 meters, and due to the bulky nature of the iron sights and this giant green dot, makes seeing your target very difficult at range, giving it an effective range of around 450 meters, but as soon as you attach an optic to it, those problems go away. The dispersion of both the A1 and the A3 are exactly the same, but the bullet speeds are not, making sniping with this smaller A1 much more difficult. Bullet speed is a very important factor in DayZ, and in this case it makes the damage of the A1 variant 15% lower than that of the A3, giving the larger A3 107.5 health and shock damage at close range, where the A1, the smaller version, gets 91 health and shock damage at close range. This is the same case for the penetration power at 15% less due to the bullet speed differences, but it does mean that the bullets of the A1 will become subsonic 125 meters sooner. Now, a big difference that surprised me between the A1 and the A3 is how the mags that fit into the A3 do not fit inside the A1 version. So the Stanags and the C-mags do not go into the A1, meaning that the A3 can have a maximum of 61 rounds ready to fire, where the A1 maxes out at 31 with the newly added 30 round AUG mag. Another attachment difference is how the M4 suppressor doesn't fit onto the A1, but it does still allow for the improvised suppressor, ruining in 6 shots like the A3 and the M4. Other than that, they both allow the ghillie wrap, reload and chamber at the same speeds, sway is the same, recoil is the same, the sounds are exactly the same, and the fire modes are the same too. As an FYI here, you can hear someone changing fire modes. Now, while the A1 and the A3 are very similar weapons, in almost all cases the A3 is a better weapon and allows the customization of the optic slot, M4 suppressor and a lot more magazines, making it a better weapon when you compare these two together, unless you're going to be picking up the A1 solely for the looks, the optic or both. I prefer the A3 because of the customizable optic, which is best compared to the M4 instead, but that's a whole different ball game, so I've included it in this video instead, the M4 versus the A3 if you want to check that out. A fairer comparison to the A1 however is the AKS-74U, given that they have the same inventory size. For most of the important stats like damage, effective range, recoil and dispersion, the A1 absolutely dominates the AKS-74U and comes as standard with an optic which the 74U doesn't allow. There's no attachment slot for the AKS-74U, making the A1 the new king of weapons that can easily fit inside a lot of clothing pieces. If you want to learn more about the A3, the A1, the new magazine and the new fixed optic, they're all on the WOBO website. You can see all the stats there, links below. Thank you very much for watching, and more to come on the RPM changes.